Can I welcome everyone to the 7th meeting in 2020 of the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee. And before we get into the agenda, this will be my last meeting as convener. It's been an absolute honour to be convener of this committee. It's a really important committee, does great work, and it's been a pleasure to work with every single one of you. I think there's going to be a few changes. Jeremy Balfour is coming off, and Tom Arthur is also coming off, but I'm sure will be replaced by able members. And can also say thanks to the lawyers as well. People think lawyers are a boring bunch, but I've discovered that they're not all boring. And can also say thanks to the clerks. These are the people who sit in the shadows on committees but keep us right. So thank you to them as well. They've done a great job. And I'll be moving on to the Social Security Committee, but not as convener. So if we get into the agenda item 1, considering instruments subject to the affirmative procedure. No points have been raised on the following draft instruments: the Local Government Finance Scotland Order 2020, the Funeral Expense Assistance and Young Carer Grants Uprating Miscellaneous Amendments Scotland Regulations 2020, and I shall certainly not miss reading this sort of stuff out. The Carers Allowance Uprating Scotland Order 2020, the Civil Litigation Expenses and Group Proceedings Scotland Act 2018, Success Fee Agreements Regulations 2020, and the Social Security Advocacy Service Standards Scotland Regulations 2020. And at that point, can I ask Jeremy Balfour, you wanted to say something on that?
Thank you, Convener. I mean, I think these are very helpful regulations. However, within them, there still seems to be a slight lack of clarity as what do we mean by independent. And I think it would be good if we could just bring that to the attention of the lead committee, as they may want to take it forward when questioning the Cabinet Secretary when she comes to that committee.
Okay, so if we can mention that in our report on this, we agree to that? Okay, thank you very much. There have been no points raised on 4 draft first-tier Tribunal for Scotland instruments: the Transfer of Functions of Parking Adjudicators Regulations 2020, the Transfer of Functions of Bus Lane Adjudicators Regulations 2020, the General Regulatory Chamber Parking and Bus Lane Appeals Rules of Procedure Regulations 2020, the General Regulatory Chamber Parking and Bus Lane Cases and Upper Tribunal for Scotland Composition Regulations 2020, and lastly, no points have been raised on 2 draft Scottish Courts and Tribunal Service instruments. We've got the Judicial Members Amendment Order 2020 and the Procedure for Appointment of Members Amendment Regulations 2020. So is the committee content with that rather long list of instruments? Yes. Great. Okay, agenda item 2 is consideration of instruments subject to negative procedure. We've got the Council Tax Scotland Amendment Regulations 2020, SSI 2020-25, and this instrument makes provision to annually uprate various allowances, premiums and deductions in the Council Tax Reduction Scotland Regulations 2012, known as the Working Age Regulations, and the Council Tax Reduction State Pension Credit Scotland Regulations 2012, known as the Pension Age Regulations. These are referred to together as the Principal Regulations. Regulations 3 and 4 of the instrument incorrectly refer to Regulation 23A of the Working Age Regulations. Instead, they should refer to Regulation 22A, so not 23A, of those regulations. Does the committee wish to draw this instrument to the attention of the Parliament under the general reporting ground due to the incorrect reference to Regulation 23A? Okay. Does the committee wish to note the Scottish Government's commitment to correct the error when the Working Age Regulations are next amended? Okay. Now, members will recall the committee's previously called for the Principal Regulations to be consolidated. The Scottish Government's commitment to correct the error in this instrument when the working age regulations are next amended, indicates an intention to continue to update these regulations rather than undertake a consolidation exercise as the committee considers necessary. So does the committee therefore wish to write to the Scottish Government to ask for an update on any consolidation plans in relation to the principal regulations? Okay. No points have been raised on SSI 2020-32. So is the committee content with this instrument? Right, and agenda item 3 is consideration of instruments not subject to any parliamentary procedure. No points have been raised on SSIs 2020, 23, 27 and 28. So is the committee content with these instruments? Okay. And agenda item 4, we're considering documents laid for consultation. No points have been raised on the proposed draft UEFA European Championship Scotland Act 2020, Remedial Order 2020, document number SG 2020-18, or on the accompanying Statement of Reasons document SG 2020-19. So is the committee content with these documents? Okay, and I'll close the meeting.